Da da da. Ba.
Da da
Da da
da
ba
da
ba
da da
ba.
da.
Dum da.
You
Ba
wish
bum bum
upon a
bum ba ba ba
star.
ba ba.
What?
Oh,
What?
there's a lily tail in that video.
What?
There's a
What?
May in the back.
What?
Hey,
Ooh,
he's not allowed in the video.
what are you doing?
He's not
Ooh.
allowed. He wasn't here
Oh,
at the beginning of the video.
oh,
He wasn't here for the part.
oh, poor guy. Gotta get these on real quick.
Why,
I
indeed?
just realized too that I have on a
Yeah, wrong fucking season. Wrong fucking year.
wrong season. Well,
I'm also wearing, I have to be fair, I am wearing a shirt from last year too.
damn it. But well, I guess there is merchandise, but we just don't have merchandise from anything that came out this year. Summer box office wise, movie wise, I don't know. It's over.
Yeah, officially.
11%. I'm seeing all the stuff before I click on Box Office Mojo before I possibly almost spoiled the list for myself. 11 down 11%, which is not it's like not shocking, like because I think in general the summer wasn't bad. I think it was exactly what people were hoping it was going to be, where there were certain movies that took over and kind of helped out a lot. Um, but when you kind of let all that dust settle and you look at everything, you're like, other than that,
I don't think that people were expecting some of the numbers that we got,
hmm
but dear God, the beginning of the summer sucked.
yeah. So obviously we are finishing off. We're shooting this. I don't know when this video is going to come up. We are shooting it the Tuesday after Labor Day. I told Eric, technically, I kind of was like, let's just let the Monday numbers settle down because it's still a holiday weekend. So, and it's not going to really
I
change.
no, I think Sunday was a good call and things like that.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, for a while, well, obviously everything is settling down. Some of the movies are, still making their numbers. Borderlands is already on digital. Unfortunately, I'm glad, I know that would have been a strong contender for number one box office this summer, but I'm glad we kind of, didn't
We
go
held back. We held back.
this true. You are right though, because like for the longest time we had a conversation until a certain movie came out in June. Apes was really the only movie that kind of was doing anything. Like it was really the first movie to actually break 100
It,
million, and
it
it
was
was
the
like a shock.
mhm. Yeah, it was the only one that was financially successful for a period of time. And yeah, then June came along and shocked me there. I'll say that. We'll talk about it in a second.
That's true. And there's a lot of other shocking things that are not things. Some I kind of was happy. I wasn't like so surprised. There was one big movie, indie movie that came out this summer that everyone was hyping up for the entire year, which I don't think cracked it, but when it first came out, it was kind of like, wow, like this is pretty cool. And then there's
Yeah,
others, which I told Eric probably is going to be here, that is
yeah.
embarrassing,
There
but it's
is
not embarrassing. Like it's not a surprise because stuff like that tends to do well. So
there
I'm
there
not
is
like,
there is one that I'm expecting that neither of us would have suspected at all at the beginning of the
no.
summer season. No,
So
which there normally is. Last year was Sound of Freedom, to which ooh,
City of
gotta
Dreams,
save the
go
kids.
see it. Okay.
Yeah,
So we're gonna remind everyone just because not we had a lot of discussions in the first video. Obviously we're only counting 10 through 1. We made a decision that if there is a weird tie or something, 12 and 11 could be included, but we don't know how it's gonna roll. Maybe we'll just have to fist fight to see who wins if it's actually an overall tie. But for my runners up, 12 I had Alien Romulus, 11 I had Garfield. So for 10, I had Apes. 9, I had If. 8, I had Fall Guy. 7, I had Furiosa. 6, I had Quiet Place Day One. 5, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. 4, Despicable Me. 4, 3, Twisters. 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. And number 1, Inside Out 2.
Nicely done. Nicely done. For my list, runners up, I had 12 King of the Planet of the Apes, 11 Bad Boys Ride or Die, 10 was Alien Romulus, 9 was Trap, 8 was Furiosa, 7 was Fall Guy, 6 A Quiet Place Day 1, 5 was Deadpool Wolverine, 4 Garfield, 3 Inside Out 2, 2 was Twisters, and number 1 was Despicable Me 4. We definitely had some heavy hitters, sure, on our list.
And
But
hearing your list in retrospect, it's like, for example, when we did the if and trap thing, those aren't necessarily the ones that I like. Those ones tend to not be weird because in anything in life, you kind of have those weird surprises. Clearly, in some aspects, the surprises were not ones we decided on.
no, here's the thing. Brian hasn't looked at the list. I have. I have the list pulled up right now, and well, let's just say that like we weren't crazy on our choices. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. You ready, Brian?
I was gonna say you're gonna read it off. That's fine with me. I had it up too. I had it zoomed in so I didn't spoil the list. But so yes, well, actually, let's go back and forth. What was number one, Eric?
Number one, to the shock of many, but not to Brian Coon, apparently, was Inside Out 2.
Oh,
The now highest grossing animated film of all time. It beat out 2019's The Lion King live action. For box office sake, of course, it is over $1 billion worldwide. But we, again, as we said before, this is just domestically we're talking about. We go internationally, fucking who knows all the numbers and things like that. Screwy because different movies released in different markets at different times. But Inside Out 2 made a little over $650 million worldwide. I said million correctly. I was going to say billion for some reason.
it was weird to me. I obviously had my suspicions. Like, I'm like, look, Pixar is Pixar, like Inside Out, everyone knows. I was kind of shocked that this was a movie in the scale that it was in terms of sequels to Pixar movies. You know what I mean? Like, it was strange in that regard.
Yeah. So if you would have told me when the first Inside Out came out that the second one would come out, and not only is it not as good as the first one, but it's going to be at in 10 years, a little less than 10 years, it would be the biggest animated film of all time. I would not have believed you. I would have believed you that a second one when it came out because of course.
So, number two, which was another go me, Deadpool and Wolverine. Um, Shockingly though, it didn't do what I anticipated it to do. It basically cleaned up the moment that it came out.
Yes.
And that was the shock to me because of how big of an opening weekend it did. And then for the fact that it just kind of lingered, and I wasn't expecting that.
It currently at this moment is a little over $600 million
It is
domestically.
creeping.
And of course, it did have those big feats. Biggest opening of the year so far at $211 million domestically. That was the best R-rated opening. It was now the highest grossing R-rated film of all time.
Suck it, Jesus.
Well,
Or I
both
guess, oh no, Joker was
Joker.
still number one. Damn it. So suck it, Joker, Jesus.
Well, Joker, Jesus was domestically of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now,
okay.
yeah. Pretty big numbers, things like that. I knew it was probably going to be like high, but I didn't realize it would be like this big of a fucking dub ski for it, I guess,
Well, because it's perfect because I think we're kind of in like I feel this is a good transition because you say that the drop off from number 2 to 3 is so big, and what pisses me off what pisses me off is I was so close to keep it going, but I fucked
Yeah.
up my order. I was pissed.
It's okay,
So, what
Brian.
is number 3, Eric, in that?
Number three is a movie that we both saw clearly. We love and cherish this series dearly. Despicable Me 4,
Banana. Blah, 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 blah.
coming at a nice steep drop to $355 million. Now, again, if we were talking about international numbers, this movie is close to $1 billion, which of course it is. It's
What
still
is it?
pumping
Do
out.
you know what it is in relation to the other ones? Because that honestly doesn't seem nearly as good as like some of the past entries. Maybe I'm
Uh,
wrong.
it did better than Despicable Me 1, of course. It's not as good as Despicable Me 2, but it's close enough on Despicable Me 3.
Okay.
So, and then comparing it, it's not as good as Minions because Minions is fucking Minions, but I think it might have done better than Rise of Gru, if I'm correct. I can't, don't quote me on it. I don't have the numbers up. I'm not looking it up right now because I don't want to mess things up on my phone personally.
Number 4. If I swap these two, I would have been 4 for 4 right now, but I'm angry.
Yeah.
Is Twisters, which Eric like was saying the numbers. This one was about 260, which
Yeah.
it really
Which
this movie in a
is
way
most of
it did
which is
exactly what we thought, but it wasn't to that. It was like here. It wasn't here, but it was like here.
yeah. Funny enough, 260 is nearly most of its fucking gross because Twisters is doing horrible internationally because who the fuck cares about Oklahoma and Arizona and all those areas outside the United States? Now, I will say I did shoot for the gun for a little bit with Twisters, but I this is what I was talking about when I had this idea. I knew it was going to be a hit though. I didn't realize it was just going to be a hit in the States, to be fair, but I knew it was going to be a hit.
Well, it had
Uh,
a terrible time too that it came out because it kind of banked on everything before Deadpool and Wolverine, which I mean the audiences are maybe different too, and it's PG-13 versus R, but
well, if you look at the weekend that Deadpool and Wolverine came out, it didn't have a bad drop off. So it opened up with around 85 to 90 million. I can't remember exactly what it was on the top of my head. But it only dropped down to about $55 million. That's not even half. So because of a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine, Twisters was able to stay and keep its gross going for a little bit longer. And I mean, it's still in theaters, which is always great. We love it when a movie lasts for more than 2 weeks because, the movies are guaranteed their 2 week runs. That's why some movies, come in and they go, things like that.
I'd be 5 for 5 right now, but I'm pissed. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Oh, this was your turn, but you threw it to me, so fuck it. It goes
Yeah.
anyway. Bad Boys,
They-
Ride or Die. The people still care about Will Smith. They don't give a fuck that he slapped Chris Rock, apparently.
Yeah. 193 million, which is another drop off. These numbers are now we're getting to the point where all the numbers are going to kind of be around the same range, but like
This is where, like I said, this is where the dust settles and you start to realize, yeah, I'm not shocked that the box office was what it was.
I neither of us saw this because neither of us are Bad Boys fans. Those dogs fresh. Let's talk about a movie that I am kind of shocked about. Not shocked, but I'm surprised that people still care about this franchise, I guess. Even years later, I wasn't suspecting it, but here we go. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And the reason why they made $171 million world, not globally, domestically. Globally, I think it was like a $300 million range, which, I mean, surprisingly, with how much they spend on the technology of this movie, was actually really good. From what I hear, the budget was very reasonable.
Place day one, it ended up I was gonna say you ended up saying 171 for Kingdom. This was 138, which I mean,
Not the biggest drop, but
This is
we're
what I remember talking about my placement of it. Again, it was one of those, my head was in the right spot. It was just slightly off. Because
yeah.
the whole opinion was, I know the Quiet Place movies aren't like, the first one was just huge because of what it was, and then after that they've just been like they've been able to make their money. But that's why going into this, I was like, I feel like the time it's coming out is a good time. I don't see a lot of competition, and it's going to give people that kind of suspense horror fix.
Listen, marketability is a wonderful thing. You have a cat. That cat didn't make like any noise. It didn't do jack shit that a normal cat would do. Like they would have been dead so much longer. Coming from Brian and I know this, coming from us owning cats, the cats would have done something stupid that fucking killed them. Let's move on to what we all guess at the beginning of this year would be so big.
It ends with us.
Yeah.
A movie that may, I'm looking at the number right here, it may become number 7 by the time
Yeah. Oh well, no,
Labor
it's
Day
not.
weekend is over, but we're not counting that.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I don't think it'll become number 7, but it is what it is. Neither of us saw this. Ugh.
Because I saw a movie poster for it. I was like, Jade, you like Blake Lively? What is this? And then she ended up looking up. She's like, oh, apparently, like, there's a lot of hot gossip about this book. And then when she told me, like, part of the plot, like, there's something about, like, abuse or, like, assault, something like that. I don't know. I don't really care. But I was like, ooh, that's kind of weird. And then the movie like blew up, and now there's like the on-set drama with the guy from Jane the Virgin, and it's a whole thing. But it's
Yeah.
here. It's.
It's probably the most successful movie to not be at number 1 this year so far.
Mm.
Um, because it came out the weekend after Deadpool and Wolverine, which
With her husband.
yeah, with her husband, and yeah, didn't beat it. And but here it is, made over $100 million. It's yeah, 135 million. Very successful for it. Good for it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not gonna see it. I have no desire to see it.
And you know what
Uh,
else we didn't see, Eric? We said Blake Lively's husband, and we also brought up A Quiet Place. How about we take that director, take Ryan Reynolds, boom, imaginary friends.
what
Would
are you
you go
talking
with
about?
that?
I did see this movie.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
Number 9, If. That
I did see this movie, Brian.
And it was your favorite movie of the year, right?
No, it's
Damn.
my favorite John Krasinski movie. I will tell you that. That doesn't mean much, though, Brian. It is the most successful original idea to come out this year. Um, so I mean, hey, good for that. I mean, at least I just don't understand what made John Krasinski decide this was the next movie he was going to do after A Quiet Place.
Well, I don't know. It would have been a nice transition if number 10 was a certain movie that should have been in the top 10, but it's like when George Miller was like, "Well, I had kids, so I did Happy Feet, and now I don't have kids, so I do Mad Max again." Maybe that's what
Yeah,
it was. Like, because I feel like John Krasinski is one of those guys where it's like a Jon Stewart thing. Like Jon Stewart did that Rosewater movie, and it was like super serious, and it was about the guy that was like involved with that Daily Show stuff, and then his next movie's like, I'm gonna make a funny political like satire, and it's like that's what you expect. It's like the same thing with John Krasinski, where it's like he did A Quiet Place. I know he did like some other comedy, but like everyone kind of knows him from the Quiet Place movies with him being an artist, right? And then they're like, you're gonna do If, but it was probably him like, it's something fun, it's something my kids will like, and he gets to basically work with like all of his friends too. So it's like
yeah.
part of that.
Cameo galore.
Yeah.
Cameo galore. It's not cameo galore. Our final movie on this list.
It didn't even break 100 million domestic.
But I'm so glad it survived. Brian,
Yep.
we freaked out because this was the first movie of the summer. Spoiler alert, it's The Fall Guy. But we freaked out. Opening weekend. We were like, no. $28 million. No. How could it? And it's not even like because I'm a big fan of the movie. I want it to be more successful. It's so unique and different from most of the stuff that came out this year, it feels like.
So in a weird way, it was like our top tens were not. We took some swings. Some things were out of order. However, I want to say because we'll get to our score at the end because I already tallied
Yeah.
mine. I want to say the fact that I batted almost so strong and I ended strong because 11 was the Garfield movie and number 12 was Alien Romulus, and that was
So yeah,
11, 12.
here's the thing. Give it another weekend, Alien Romulus would have been on this list. Or give
Romulus.
it maybe the whole Labor Day weekend, it might have been on this
Yeah,
list.
because it's at 90. It's literally 92, 91, and 90.
Yeah, let's talk a
Basically.
little bit about the ones that didn't make it in. Because
So Garfield, I'm not surprised. And
I
I
am
say that
not.
because what kid cares about Garfield? That's my thing. Despicable Me, Inside Out, home run. Boop, boop. I expected. What fucking kid likes Garfield? Like
I was expecting the Garfield rush,
every kid, I want to eat lasagna.
I hate Mondays. We gotta go watch Garfield. Uh, you know, I I I thought, the baby Garfield marketing might have gotten it. Of course, we didn't see this movie, but
No.
um, it clearly shows that just because you put Chris Pratt in a movie as your main character
He did
doesn't
it.
mean
He did $1 billion last time. This go work now.
number 12, of course, was Alien Romulus.
Then
But I want to.
13
Number 13
snaps and
was
claps for long legs. Snaps and claps. Snaps and
yes,
claps. This was the movie that I was talking about where I was like, this came out and the marketing was so strong and it made $100 million worldwide. Number 14
the biggest tragedy of the summer.
was Furiosa. And this
It
movie
made most,
rock.
it made most of its money on its first weekend, and
Yeah.
then it tanked.
But yeah, so that was really sad. And then Trap, I
Yeah,
think
I
it's actually a solid pick for your list. It again, I think it did what it did from what you expected it, just not as high as you expected it.
yeah,
Um,
I'm generally happy about it. I think this movie is goofy as all hell, but in the
it's great.
Shyamalan way that you like.
But Eric, we know why we're here. How many points did you earn?
All right, give me a second. None of mine were in the right order. I'll be honest, none of mine were in the right order. I was very close with A Quiet Place, though. I was very close with a couple of other ones, but none of them were in the right order whatsoever, Brian. So I got Inside Out 2, Deadpool Wolverine, Despicable Me 4, Twisters, Quiet Place, and The Fall Guy. I got 6 points, Brian.
I got 13.
He doubled my score.
Legit, when I was reading this and like I saw it was Despicable Me before, then Twisters, I was so livid. I was like, are you joking me? I would have had top five sweep.
Yeah,
Literally, the
really
only
good.
listen, Kingdom was out of order, Fall Guy was out of order, Quiet Place was out of order, and then It Ends With Us just wasn't on it. If I had Twisters and Despicable Me, it would have been, let's see, because If was in the right spot, so 6, and then my two runner-ups. I was
Yeah.
so mad.
I
I'm
mean,
more angry that I couldn't go perfect than just beating you. At that point, I was just trying to beat the box office and I couldn't do it.
I mean, the good thing is we called, well, nearly all the movies that would be on this list.
That is
It's
true.
really,
It ends with us in kind of like maybe competition wise and box office wise, it was a good thing because then it was something we didn't expect to make it into the top 10 at all.
yeah,
Um,
there's always one.
your boy,
King of the box office this summer.
I'm the king of the box office. But you know what? Maybe we'll just have to do round 2 next year. But until then, because I don't want to think about that. What did you make any predictions about what you thought? Are you as shocked with us on anything? And are you sad like us with Furiosa? Leave it all in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. And during the summer, there was another War of the Rascals that came out, our shortest War of the Rascals, one that's not a 2-part video that takes
Nope.
months to do. So it's for Fusion Frenzy. You should go check it out. I am Knuff. Okay, toodaloo.
Hello.